Hi everyone, it's Agnieszka from 5-Minute Language. Welcome to my channel. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already and give this video a thumbs up. So today's video is about something that many people talk about in relation to vocabulary acquisition, and it's a technique called spaced repetition. You may have heard about it because if you follow other blogs or other YouTube channels that talk about learning languages, it's something that always comes up, spaced repetition. But what is it actually? So in this video, I'm going to explain exactly what spaced repetition is and how you can use it in your own language learning. So spaced repetition is a technique that's used mainly in relation to learning vocabulary. It's something that I've used myself and something that really has worked for me very well. So I definitely recommend that you use it as well. Essentially, it's a technique that involves learning new vocabulary, new phrases and new words, and then increasing time intervals between the different review sessions that you do. So for example, you learn something, then you wait a day and you review it, then you review it after a few days, and then you review it after even more days. So the mistake that many people make when learning vocabulary is they basically learn a new word or a new phrase. They kind of review it a few times over a period of time, but then they forget about it and they think, oh, after a week you can remember it, so you can move on to the next thing. But actually, that's not how memory works. I'm not an expert in memory techniques, so just a little disclaimer there. But basically, when you memorize something, it kind of escapes your memory after a short period of time. Think about watching a film, for example, or reading a book. If you read a book and then somebody asks you a year later what exactly that book was about, then you might not be able to recall it because you didn't sort of review the material, if you know what I mean. So spaced repetition has an answer to this problem. Basically what you do is you consolidate a new word or a new phrase in your memory by reviewing it at increased time intervals. So like I said before, you learn something and then you review it after a day, then you review it after 3 days, after 5 days, and then you leave a bigger gap afterwards, so for example 2 weeks, and then the next review session will be after an even longer period of time, maybe after a month. So that way you kind of train your brain to be able to actively recall that word from or retrieve it from your memory when you need it, and you kind of increase the challenge for your brain because you increase those time intervals. If you can't remember a word, you kind of go back to the beginning and review it more frequently until you can remember it, and then you increase the intervals again. So you can use this technique in two different ways. You can either use software or you can do it manually. So I'm going to explain both sides of the story now. So when it comes to software, there's lots of apps that use spaced repetition. Duolingo, Memrise, Anki, these are all apps or pieces of software that use this technique. So in Duolingo, for example, you have weak words that keep sort of coming back to you if you don't remember them. So the software basically does the job for you. You don't have to identify your weak words yourself. If you can't remember a word, then it will be given to you very soon for review, and if you can, then that review interval will be increased. So like I said, you can also do this manually without using software, and that's the way I've always done it. I prefer doing it manually using a notebook and an actual pen and highlighters, because I think that way I learn more effectively. So the way I do this is basically I use different colors for highlighting words depending on how soon I want to review them. So if I've got a list of words, I might highlight them in yellow if I think that I should review them in the next 2 days, and then I will use green, for example, to indicate that I want to review them in a week. And then basically in 2 days I will only look at the yellow ones, and then after a week I will only look at the green ones. And then once that's done, I basically transfer the words to another page, and then I begin the highlighting process again. So I might use orange or pink or another color to then highlight the words that I want to review in 2 weeks or in a month. And that way I've got a kind of visual reminder of which words I need to be reviewing more frequently and then which words I can leave for later. So I hope this video helped you understand how spaced repetition works. Like I said, I really encourage you to try it when learning vocabulary because it will ensure that you really remember the words that you're learning and that you can actually recall them after a long period of time, which is the main thing when it comes to reaching fluency. So thanks very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and I'll see you next time. Bye!